Hello my dear friends, this is the first ever set of popular science videos which have been created by one person in 33 languages. I make all my videos using only machine translators, without any help from other people. In the future, I will tell you about my method of learning languages, but now I will be speaking about one fascinating ancient mystery. Where do the trees come from? People have been asking this question for thousands of years, but the answer to this ancient riddle is surprising even today. The first obvious answer seems to be very simple. Trees grow from seeds. If you want to grow an oak, you take an acorn, put it into the ground, and you get a tree. But that's not enough. A huge oak which can weigh more than 10 tons grows from a tiny acorn which weighs a few grams. So where does all the mass come from? The second answer is also simple, probably from the ground. A tree cannot wander around looking for food, it can only get its mass from the soil underneath itself, right? No, not really. Water, of course, mostly comes from the ground through the roots. But what about the structure of the tree itself? What about most of the dry mass of its wood? Even thousands of years ago, ancient Greeks and Romans understood that if a growing tree simply pulled upwards the soil around its roots, a huge pit would have eventually appeared under that tree. When you stand under a tree, just look at the whole massive structure above your head and imagine that it all came from the ground under your feet. That should leave a pit several cubic meters in volume. And yet, the ground stays flat, while from the acorn that you have put into the soil, the tree just keeps growing and growing. It seems as if the mass of the growing oak appeared from nowhere, as if it appeared out of the air. And yes, this is precisely the amazing answer to the puzzle. Trees get the main component of their structure out of the air. So, how does it happen? Through a process called photosynthesis. The bodies of all living beings on our planet are built from lone molecules: proteins, carbohydrates, nucleic acids, fats, and other types. All of them are simply lone chains of carbon atoms, with attached to inserted atoms of oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, phosphorus, and other elements. But where can we get the carbon to make them? From our atmosphere, from molecules of carbon dioxide. Plants, algae, and cyanobacteria grab molecules of carbon dioxide from the air, tear off oxygen, give it back to the atmosphere so that we can breathe it, and use carbon atoms to make lone molecules. For example, glucose, which is used to make cellulose, the main component of wood. Isn't it amazing? Water is a liquid, carbon dioxide is a gas. Both are weak and ephemeral, but when combined in a complex structure, they can become mighty trees. And water which the trees get from the soil also comes from the air as water vapor, which condenses and falls to the ground as rain. And nitrogen, which is needed to make protein molecules, is also taken from the air by bacteria living near the roots of the trees, in a process called nitrogen fixation. When a tree is growing, carbon dioxide in the air around it turns into the tree. When the tree burns down or decays, most of its mass returns back to the air. And the same is true for all plants. And we humans and animals eat plants and build our own bodies from them. Thus, the structure of our own bodies is also ultimately built from air. Look at the blue sky and white clouds on a sunny day and imagine that this is what your body is mostly made from. Your structural molecules are created from the air, which you see as the blue sky. The water comes from the clouds, and the sunlight provides the energy. On the other hand, when we are standing in an old graveyard with a lot of trees, we may think that the bodies of the dead are below the ground. But we are wrong. Calcium phosphate, the inorganic material that makes our bones hard and strong, does remain there. But other complex structures, from tissues to molecules, fall apart and are reabsorbed by the plants that we see around us. The bodies of the dead in the cemetery are not in the ground beneath our feet. No, they have become branches and leaves in the sky above our heads. In a famous novel by Stanislav Lem, there is a planet called Solaris inhabited by an intelligent ocean. Scientists who live on a space station and study the planet get strange visitors who look like familiar people from Earth. The ocean on Solaris can generate those visitors based purely on the information that it gathers from the brains of the humans. This, of course, is science fiction, but there exists a real planet that is covered by an ocean which can generate complex structures and dissolve them back. And that planet is Earth. The ocean is the atmosphere, the information is our DNA, and the structures are all of us, the living beings on Earth. The carbon on our planet circulates between two states: simple molecules of carbon dioxide dissolved in the atmosphere and complex organic molecules in our bodies. And this process is going on continuously. Even right now, when I'm talking to you, I breathe out the carbon dioxide that comes from oxidation of carbon chains that I've got from food and that were created by some plants months or years ago. Some of the carbon atoms that I breathe out right now were actually part of my own body. Structural proteins break up for various reasons and are used up as fuel by my cells, creating carbon dioxide. With every word and every breath, I complete the cycle about which I am talking in this video, returning some part of myself back to the atmosphere. Ecclesiastes has said that our bodies came from the dust and shall return to the dust. And we can say that our bodies came from the air and return to the air with every breath that we take.